Hey guys, Matthew, and welcome to the next episode of the bossing series. So this is actually going to be the last episode for the foreseeable future, and we are going to be looking at the Maven. So if you follow the entirety of the series, we've essentially gone through every single one of the encounter and the invitations in order to unlock the entirety of your Uncharted Realm, which I highly recommend. If not the entire thing, at least get, like, 6 nodes, 8 nodes or something, because they are very, very strong. Not just for the bossing side of things with Gazing Through the Abyss and Guardian's Aid, but also for the mapping side of thing with the Depth Tracker, Atlas Awaken, and of course, Secrets of the Stones, Enduring Influence. There's so much going on. I would highly recommend this to be a priority in the upcoming league. Okay, so let's talk about Maven. Let's get right into the loot. So she has the Legacy of Fury, the boots, pretty bad boots, honestly, nothing to write home about there. They're really not really worth anything. Typically don't even pick them up. Verity's Veil is actually a super interesting helmet. Now, there is a chance that they nerf this with the upcoming changes to how GG is trying to pull the players away from having, permanent ailment immunity and curse immunity. So there's a chance this gets nerfed, but if it doesn't, this is actually a super strong helmet. It's actually going to be stronger than ever before now, because it does give you hexproof if you have a magic ring in the right slot. And this is something that you could easily pair up with something like, for example, Mark of the Shaper or Mark of the Elder, by having just a magic Elder or magic Shaper ring in the right ring slot. So this is something that's really good. Now, this helmet giving you hexproof is really nice because it means that technically the curses are still on your character, but they don't affect your character. So you could have like 10 curses on your character and they're not going to do anything, and this works extremely well with a build like a totem build, of course, because of Soul Mantle and self-cursing, and of course taking advantage of the of the self-flagellation jewel. So let me just show you, this jewel right here, giving you increased damage per curse on you. A perfect one of these is 20%, and I think you can get a 10 curses, so that's 200% increased damage on your character for, pretty much no investment outside of course, that one jewel slot and, of course, the helmet slot and a ring slot. So there is some investment, but it's fairly little. This is actually the best helmet for my own specific build right here. Matter of fact, for pretty much any totem build, that helmet is absolutely fantastic. The other option is to go with the shield. It zeroes reflection, but then you're losing a lot of damage. Because of course Anzir's reflection is a shield. It doesn't offer any sort of damage numbers that something like a second wand would, but then a helmet could also offer some damage as well, so it's pretty much personal preference. Next, we have the 3 different belts. Now, the rolls on these actually matter a lot, so you should pay attention to that, and you should also vow these for different implicits, because the implicits suck. Right, you have stun and block recovery, which is just awful, but if you take these belts, any 3 of them, and you vow them and you get better implicits like crit multi, attack speed during any flask effects, stuff like that, they can actually be worth a little bit, especially if they are well rolled. But overall, not great. Same thing with this her Sada's garb. Not a great item, not really worth anything, doesn't have too much demand. Next, we have the elevated sextants. Now, these are actually quite good because they're super common. They're a very common drop, and if you're chaining a ton of these Mavens, you are actually going to be getting a lot of these, and then you can sell them in bulk for a lot more than individually, which is really good. And finally, you have the Maven's Orb, which is the biggest reason why people even farm Maven in the first place, which is the orb that allows you to get T0 mods, right? T1s being elevated to T0s. So this is a really good item. It's kind of funny with the Maven because early game, or in the early stage of a league, I'm talking like the first few days, even the first week, Verity's Veil is very expensive, and Maven's Orbs are typically pretty cheap because there's no demand for them. And this kind of like gets to be the opposite after a little while. Verity's Veil, when everybody has them, right, they just drop down in price like really fast, to the point where they're not really even worth picking up anymore, and Maven's Orb just go up and up in price as there's more demand for people crafting. So it's kind of nice because there's always going to be profit there. Talking about that, figuring out how much profit is there really, we can look at PoE profit. As always, under normal bosses, we do have the Maven, which gives us the odds of getting these different items, and of course how much they're worth and whatnot, so we can come out with a profit. Right now, it seems that even right now in a completely dead league, right, days away from the end of it, Maven is still a profitable boss to be farming at 30 chaos per encounter, which is, not great, but you can farm these in about 5 minutes typically on an okay build, and in about 3 minutes on a really good build if you're able to skip the memory phase, which is possible if you have a lot of very upfront damage. Something like a miner can totally do that. The first phase is not skippable ever. The second phase and the third phase are sometimes skippable, and then the last phase is always skippable. So that's just something to note if ever you're trying to figure out if your build is capable or not of skipping them. The second and the third are the hard ones to skip. The last one, if you have a lot of damage, is quite easy. Okay, so let's get right into the Maven herself and talk about the different mechanics. Now, the Maven is a mechanics check. It's all about knowing the mechanics and how not to get hit. But it's also a bit of a DPS check, because the problem with the Maven is that the longer the fight goes on, for the initial phases, that just means that the nucleus is going to keep shooting the degen balls, right? And the thing about the degen balls is you want to try to stack them up together as much as possible so that you have place to navigate on the arena. The problem is that if you have little damage, there's going to be so much of these degen balls. If you're not able to stack them on top of each other, which is possible, by the way, if you have a build which is able to just sit there in the degen and out-regen the degen, you can actually sit in the degen, wait for the balls to hit the character, and expand so you can be at just one spot with like 10 million degens on top of each other without any problem. I don't think they even stack in terms of damage either, so it's not too bad. Unfortunately, with a character like this, especially because we are mind over matter and we only have about 2,000 mana, that's not possible for us. If we start to sit in a degen, our mana is just going to go to 0, then we're not even going to be able to flame dash out of anything, and then our life pool is just going to drop like instantly. And if we're not able to dash out of anything, of course Maven's going to be hitting us with different mechanics. It's not a good time. So we do want to kill the boss pretty fast, which is why it's going to be very important on a build like this, right? Scuff build, 5 link, nothing special in terms of the loot, in terms of the gear, less than an exalt or so for the entirety of the build. I've said that like every video. It's going to be a tough time. So we do want to always debuff the boss. Okay, so let's get right into it. The first phase initially, what I do is I don't actually use any of my flash or any of my damage before she blinks. Because she's always going to blink. So I'm going to basically just wait for that. So here we go. She should blink right now. There it is. So we are going to debuff, put our totems down. And now what we are going to focus on is just not getting hit by the different mechanics from the boss itself. So this is the degen pulls I was talking about. You want to try to put those in all in the middle of the arena. Now these little balls here, what they do is that if they hit you, they will expand and blow up. So this is it for the first phase. As you saw, even a 5 link is enough to kill this boss, no problem. Now, after the first phase, what's going to happen is that you have to go on the outskirts of the arena because the nucleus is going to do this huge explosion, which will one-shot you. Alright, so this laser here that you're seeing is actually really deadly. If you get hit by that, well, first off, it'll degen you a ton, but it also, not only does a ton of damage, it also puts a debuff on your character, which prevents your character from having any sort of healing whatsoever. Now, of course, because this is ad phase, this is a great time to get some flask charges from all the different bosses that are spawning, right? We are getting a lot of flash charges. Now, this is one of the worst bosses that I could have asked for, honestly. Make sure to debuff the... yeah, this is the boss from, I think, one of the new of the T14 maps, right? Which is similar to the Harvest bosses. Really annoying to deal with because it basically silences your character. Okay, nice textures. All right, here we go. Make sure to debuff the boss. You want to die very little in the first phases of the boss, because if you're dying a lot in the first phases, you're gonna have a bad time at the last phase. Okay, so here we are. We've done the first phase. Now it's time for memory game number 1, which is going to have only 3 to remember, so pretty easy. Next is going to be 5 and then 7 from there on. So 1, 2, 3, nothing to write home about, right? Pretty easy, just a little circle. Again, we wait for the blink, we go in for the debuff. A Cascade of Pain, easiest way to deal with that is to try to stay the furthest away from the boss as possible. So, we hit the debuffs, now it's time to do some damage. Death Made Real is going to be a massive laser, you can see the outline of it though. Cascade of Pain, looks like she's actually hitting my totems instead of me. Oh damn, I got shotgunned a little bit by the nucleus. That was unfortunate, shouldn't have died there. That was a big mistake, I'm probably going to regret that. So, hit him with the debuffs. More of these degens. So this is what I mean when I'm saying that you want to take care of this as fast as possible, because it does become significantly harder as there's more and more of these debuffs. Okay, so that should be it for the second phase. Nucleus is going to come back in and we have to go on the outskirts. There's basically 2 sides, right? 2 sides of the arena. where you have this outskirt, this is going to be safe. Okay, now we can actually see where the laser is going to spawn before it even spawns with the outside that I just shown. Like, it starts off huge. You can see it visually, so you don't get hit by the laser before the fight even starts. So make sure to always use your debuffs appropriately. There it is. Nothing crazy there. Okay, so here we go again. This time it's going to be 5. So we're going to try to pay attention to that. You can also audibly say it. It might help you remember. So, you know, top, right, so circle, and then actually, damn, I wasn't even paying attention. This is gonna be pretty bad. Was it something like that? No. Okay, we got just in the nick of time. Okay, so here we go. Debuff the boss. Make sure that we don't let these stand away. Don't get hit by the laser. Stand still. This actually follows you. It doesn't start like the location of it before it actually appears. So even if you blink out of it, you can still it can still follow you essentially. Okay, here we go. Just about to be done with this phase here. Make sure we don't get hit by that. Make sure that we stack the degens as much as possible, right, towards the center of the arena. Okay, another phase is starting now. We got to go outside of the arena. Reality bends, cool stuff. So we can see outside, this is where the laser is going to start. Hit the debuffs. Now this is actually going to be the last phase of the nucleus. Oh no, oh no. God, I hate this boss. God, I hate that new boss. The harvest one is so bad. That silence right there just completely annihilated all chances that I had to do this. Oh, again, dude, stop. Oh my god, this is hard. All right, there we go. So last phase. So this is where she throws the sun at you. We are basically going to deal okay, so I actually got hit by the laser, right? Maven's punishment, no regen for the next 10 seconds. We're going to pay attention here because there's actually 7. So far, it's basically just back and forth. So 2 back and forth and then a circle, it seems. So it shouldn't be too bad, right? Back and forth, followed by a little bit of a circle. There it is. Now we're going to wait for the blink to happen. Debuffs on, damage as much as possible. And you want to be actually a little bit strategic with where you're putting your totems down, because you need to remember that this laser here can kill your totems. So she can actually also focus on your totems like she did just there. With any of the abilities that she's doing, including a Cascade of Pain. Alright. So, out of flask, this is pretty bad. Stand still. Here we go. Staying outside of that. I think she's about to do another of the memory phase, which is a little bit unfortunate. There it is. So if you don't kill her fast enough, she's going to go she's going to keep doing these memory game phases over and over and over until you actually kill her. Which is why I said it's a bit of a DPS check. So back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Very, very lucky here. This is really easy. Nothing crazy there. Hit our debuffs. Okay, so I unfortunately was out of mana flash, so I wasn't able to dash out of that. We've got 2 portals left. Things are looking pretty good. She's just about to die here. So, debuff on. Put on the totems. Cascade of Pain, stay away from the boss. Makes it very easy to dodge compared to if you're very close to the boss. Okay, she's being a little bit annoying here. Remember, always cast your debuffs. Always cash your debuffs. No debuffs, no damage, right? So here we are. She's completely dead. Now, one thing to note. Okay, so I got a belt. Not good, right? Of course, like I said, the rolls do matter here. I got a 14% life with a 59 fire res. Not bad. But even with these really, really good rolls, this belt is absolutely worthless. But if I throw Valorb at it and I would get something insane, like, I don't know, attack speed during an flask effect is actually pretty good, you know, there's a chance that it's going to be worth something, which is why I said good rolls, and of course, hit it with a Valorb and see what happens. No, let's just throw that in the dump tab. So what's cool about this is that because we're able to fight this, right? Because we're able to farm this Maven encounter on a 5 link, and it's not too bad. Now, I could have played that a lot better. I think I had 2 deaths, which were just overall not great. And I had some deaths in the actual ads phase because of that boss, which just silences you, right? The harvest guy. if it wasn't for that, this is a pretty easy fight, even on this setup with the 5-link and all that. And what's great about that is that it allows you to self-farm your own Viridi's Veil. And hear me out here. If you were able to farm Maven on a 5-link, now of course with the upcoming damage nerfs, this is going to be a lot harder, a lot sketchier. You'll have to play a lot better, and of course you might need to, for example, you know, get better gem levels, maybe get quality on your gems, right? Like right now I'm working on absolute minimum budget, like welfare support sort of budget. So I wouldn't need to do a whole lot to get a lot more damage here. But let's just say you're able to farm Maven on a 5-link, you can actually self-farm the Viridi's Veil. This allows you to, instead of using, you know, Kikazarus on your rings or something like that, you can use the Viridi's Veil with a Mark of the Shaper, with an Elder magic ring with something like life and just some crafted resistance. And then what you can do is you would get Mark of the Shaper, which is insane damage, of course. You would drop the Malachi's Artifice at that point. Now, of course, this is also something I'll talk about in the build guide, but you can nearly just about double your damage by doing all these changes and drastically increase your survivability as well, because you don't have to worry about the warding flask making you immune to curses, especially if that's completely gone, and we can't even do that anymore in the upcoming league. Then this entire concept of the build using Malachi's Artifice might have to change a lot more than that. But of course, I'm waiting for patch notes before I make the guide on that. So be on the lookout for that. Anyways, that's pretty much it for the Maven encounter. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. It's a really easy fight, honestly. You just need to know that when Maven says these different voice lines, what's going to happen and how to react to it. She says a cascade of pain, you go as far away as possible, and all you have to do is just walk around. You know, no stress, no nothing. You just walk around and they're never going to hit you. If she says stand still, she's going to do the thing that goes like this, right? The cross thing. All you have to do is dash out of it, or you can even just walk like in an S, and you're also not going to get hit by it either, right? So it's really easy, but you also need to pay attention to what the nucleus is saying, right? When the nucleus says, for example, death will not escape, or no, wait, what does he say? Actually, I don't think it's in the voice lines. But when the nucleus is talking, it's also very important to pay attention to that. When he says like death made real, that's the big laser, right? You want to stand out of the big laser. Now, of course, you can visually see it, which makes it quite easy. And of course, for the ad phase, just stay on the very, very outer ring of the arena and try to use your dashes basically only when you really need them. Otherwise, just keep walking. And number one, most important thing, keep your debuffs up. If I try to do this boss right now again and I just don't debuff her, I'm going to fail miserably because my damage is over doubled, if not tripled, by the debuffs. Keep debuffing the boss every 4 seconds or so, right? Just walk up. Basically, every time your flame golem is off cooldown, every 4 seconds, 5 seconds, walk up, put the debuffs down, put the totems back down, keep doing your thing, focus on dodging. But no debuffs, no damage. Very important to remember. Anyways, that's pretty much it for the guide. Now, before I go, I want to say a huge thank you to my supporters: Jordan, Fruitfly, Thomas, Neroth, Master, Tim, Neg, Jacob, Flame Scorpion, Reese, ML, Road to Millions, Alex, Brandon, Don, Joseph, welcome back, Panda, Atticus, Scott, Bard, Grimoire, and Johnny, as well as, of course, Ronald, Kevin, Mercury, Bittison, anybody else who's supported me in the past, or anybody else who wishes to remain anonymous. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.